me film. Oh, got it. All right, so I'm gonna go over thinning out a piece using the thirds method, just like I did the other day. And then tomorrow I'll go ahead and I'll show you how to apply different types of feet onto your stuff, whether it be like a ring foot on the bottom, whether you're smoothing it in, whether it be smaller pieces of clay attached and holding it up in some type of interesting way that really complements the set. So we talked about slab work, you know, how you can get thin pieces, but you can also get really nicely constructed pieces using coil. And I actually sometimes prefer this way if I don't have a mold or something to work with. So just make sure you're flattening your clay out to get a nice even base. If you have a rolling pin, you could totally use that. Which I have one in class, so I should use that, but if you don't, then see, would be the method. That's what I was telling in one of my other classes. I was like, I'm gonna try to work with only the tools that you guys will have at home. You know, with the exception of some things that you could probably like find around the household, like, you know, little like paper clips and stuff like that. But for the most part, I don't want to incorporate anything like so fancy and then it be something that you don't have. I'm gonna use this little thing, press in, and then make sure that I cut my shape out. You guys do have pin tools, but I'm just gonna use this little thing. And the key to getting a really nice thin piece is having not a super thick base, but something decently substantial that's gonna be able to hold the weight of the coils going outward. Sometimes as you're building outward, you'll notice your piece will just like flop. Having a base that's about the size of like a pencil or, you know, this type of wooden tool is a really good start, and it's gonna help you smooth in your very first coil as well. So I like to go in then and really clean up this base. Now, sometimes people think, well, it's the bottom, it'll be fine. But getting a nice circular base or oval base or square base or whatever, you know, shape you want to make is super important, because that's going to be the foundation of your project. All right, so I got my piece there, and I'm going to roll up my first coil. And you want to keep these coils about the size of, let's say, like a standard Crayola marker. That seems pretty good. If you're working with something very tiny, still that would be a decent size. I feel like you don't want to work with coils too small when doing this, because you don't have a lot to work with when you're blending and shaping. So just really compressing the clay, which I know you guys know, but and making sure you have a really good space to roll your coils out. If your coil's uneven, you could really focus on the part that's a little larger and kind of go in and just work on that. And the key is to try to get your coil as perfect as you can. You know, we are not robots, we are people. Well, I think so, for the most part. I don't know. Kayla's sending me wild video of some wacky woman. But shaving cream technique is awesome. I'm really happy that you shared that. Is anyone interested in trying that out? Oh, I forgot I was recording this video on my phone. That's okay. Back to coil pots. See, I can't become a YouTube sensation. Going ahead and attaching the base on. This is about the size coil I would use. Like I said, about the size of a Crayola marker. And it's okay that it's a little thick. One thing that I do notice when people build with coils, especially in the beginning, or even, you know, for things that you haven't made with them before. For example, if you've never made a coil bowl, you're gonna want it to be a lot thinner for the most part than you would a coil vase or something like that. Because within the vase form, you kind of like hide the thickness a little bit till you get towards the top, but when you're working with this, you want to really get it nice and thin. So I like to look at this now in a few different sections. 1, and then 2, and then 3. So we're really just gonna see like this skinny part through here. Let me pin myself so I could see what I'm doing on here. All right, so I'm gonna go in, make sure that you are always supporting it from the outside, and I'm going in, and like I said, you know, if you need to make like 2 little marks, you could do that, so then you know the mark to start at, and just kind of approximate where the thirds are. And I usually like to smooth down 2 or 3 times and then smooth over and clean that up. And then down and then over. Just making sure that you're really keeping, you know, the top as even as you can. And make sure that you're sealing it really, really well. This clay we're working with is so fresh that I don't think you'll need to slip and score these on. It just sticks really well. So for the first coil, I'm actually gonna go in and flip it over to smooth so you don't get like that weird base part. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to smooth this up. My first coil, I'm okay if it's a little bit thicker because, like I said, that's the base of your whole thing. That's what's holding everything up. So if you just smooth your 1/3 in and then smooth this in, that's okay. But for the rest of the coils, you're gonna wanna use that method. Making sure it's nice and smooth. And we talked a little bit yesterday about, you know, when people are working on the pottery wheel, it's common, they always say if you could create a cylinder, you could create anything. Now, we don't have as much force as we would on a wheel, but we do have the ability to shape these. If they're a little bit more inward, we could always push them out. If they were just kind of going out right away, it's gonna be a little bit hard. So now we have our little guy here. And I'm just gonna make like a small little plate. And you know what? I'm gonna kind of leave that assignment open because a lot of people uploaded things, but if you want to send me some more, just email them to me. Like if you find something really cool and you're like, ooh, I like this, send it to me because it might inspire some of your classmates. There's so many things in art and in ceramics that I wish I could teach you everything, but I think you would have to start here in kindergarten until you're like 90. Which I wish I was doing ceramics that long. So this coil I'm going to rest slightly outward, but not like super like I'm gonna make a plate right away. And you can always smooth these all together, and if you want a different shape, you can shape it that way. You can also start with a square and do it that way. And as you create your sets, and we go through these videos, keep in mind that you could always change your glazing design. Oh, and that's one thing I wanted to go over after I go over this. Actually, hold on, is it almost 1 o'clock? Oof. All right, let me finish this quickly. So remember the thirds rule, smooth a third of it in and over. So I just like to do 2 or 3 down, smooth it over. And you guys have a bunch of rib tools at home. You should have like your plastic ones and your metal and wooden ones. And you could tell that I'm still keeping this like up. It's kind of becoming a bowl, which I do want to turn it into a plate. I'm still keeping it upright so it doesn't go flop. And then I'll show you how we're gonna push it out and shape it into a plate. Which very well, maybe tomorrow at this time. Hold on, let's see. All right, so it looks pretty thick on top. We're just gonna take the other third now and smooth it down. And when you're working, like if you feel like the first few coils it's hard to use your hands, I personally like to use my hands when smoothing things, but tools are made for a reason. So you kind of push down a little bit with this and then kind of smooth it along the side and touch it up a little bit once you have everything completed. So that'll help you a little bit as well. Another thing is, and I went over this my other class. Let me see if I have them here. Oh, no. Oh, I guess I don't. All right. I'll show you guys tomorrow, but essentially, if you have any like gift cards at home that are there's no money on them or any like types of plastic, you can cut your own rib tools. So any shape you might need, or if you need like a small like pointed rib tool, and rather than this, and you want like more of a actual like grip and then to smooth it, you could create all your own tools. And I went over that in the tool making pandemic video at the beginning of the year, which you can also check out if you want to as well. Although thank goodness that we do have toolkits now. So just kind of finishing, taking this down. And I think I'll just go over tomorrow how to push the plate out, and then so we could talk about adding feet. And then I want to see a little bit more tomorrow of what you guys are working on. So be ready to have your little setup so I could see what you got going on. Okay, so I have a pretty standard, little bowl going on. What you could do eventually is then go in and we're going to apply pressure, even pressure, and we'll go in with a rib tool, and I'll show you how to adjust all of that. I'm going to let you guys go and clean up for the day because class is almost over. And then we'll pick up on this tomorrow. If you guys have any questions, feel free to stay behind and I will be sure to answer them.